taken from a book he wrote midway through his earthly journey called The Divine Romance. Quote, "The treasure of friendship is your richest possession because it goes with you beyond this life. All the true friends you have made, you will meet again in the home of the Father, for real love is never lost. On the other hand, hate is never lost either. What you hate, you will also attract to yourself again and again and again until you overcome the intense dislike. Love is short-lived unless it is divine love. What of all the lovers through the ages who were promised eternal fidelity to one another under the light of the silvery moon? Their skulls are strewn over the earth, and the moon laughs at most of them and says, how they lied, for their love has not been forever. But if the love you feel in your heart is not of this earth, not worldly, if you have achieved love for all beings on a divine basis, and it is not based singly in carnal attraction, if you love others for themselves and not for selfish ends, you have attained and expressed God's divine love. To develop pure and unconditional love between husband and wife, parent and child, friend and friend, self and all, the lesson we have come on earth is here to learn. You have mastered it. No one is all bad. Remember that. If you hear someone playing a piano that has a defective key, you are inclined to judge the whole piano as bad. Oh, it doesn't work. But the fault lies not in one key. Fix it, and you will see that the piano is perfectly good. God loves all his children. To hate anyone is to deny him in yourself and to others. The earth is the laboratory of God. We burn ourselves in the fire of mortal experience so that our divine heritage is revealed in splendor, and that which is buried beneath the dross is changed into something radiant and beautiful. Love all. Keep your own counsel. And do not worry. Thank you. And now, as we move on in our service, we are going to be inspired once again. Carol.
Thank you. This is a wonderful song called The Greatest of These is Love. It's adapted from 1 Corinthians, and it was written by Joanna Burns Miller. If I had the gift to speak any language that's ever been known in this world, and if I could foresee what the future would bring, if every mystery were mine to unfurl, and if I had such strength that I could move mountains and be burned at the stake for my call, it would all be worth nothing. It would be for no gain. Without love, it would be nothing at all. If I were to share my last crust of bread with a stranger to someone who needed it more. And if I were to speak out, speaking truth to the nations, and be burned at the stake for my call, it would all be worth nothing. It would be for no gain. Without love, it would be nothing at all. Love is patient, love is kind, love is loyal, love is true. Never boastful, never jealous, never selfish, never rude. Love has no ending, love has no pride. It's never touchy, it holds no grudge. Never haughty, makes no demands. Love is just, love does not judge. As we live and grow, there's so much to know, more than we could possibly grasp. And the love that we seek is the love of perfection. It goes on when all else has passed. So put God in your heart and be its reflection. It's what we're all capable of. And your faith will move mountains, and your hope will bring sunshine, and the greatest of these will be love. Yes, your faith will move mountains, and your hope will bring sunshine, and the greatest of these is love.
Thank you. And now, Reverend Kathy.
Thank you, LeRoy. And Carol, I have got to bring that version back to our church. Oh my goodness, that was amazing, amazing. Thank you. Thank you, yes. And to the Goodfellows, yes, wonderful, wonderful. And while I'm thanking people, I always like to thank Steve back there. You know, our tech, we rely on them so much. Thank you, Steve, for being so patient. Well, I meant to bring my cell phone into the service with me, believe it or not, because I was trying to connect. Oh, no, that's okay. I was trying to connect to my phone yesterday, and anybody with the cell phones, when it says, you have to download your updates, time to update, and it won't let you go any further, right? So fine, okay, update. And then the next thing that happened was it was like, you have to agree to the terms of Apple. And I'm like, what? Open, 27 pages. Oh, forget it. Agree. Well, did you ever think about that Adam and Eve were the first people not to read the Apple terms and conditions? Well, speaking of Adam and Eve, right? After, you remember the story of Adam and Eve, right? It comes out of Genesis, and this is the creation story. And Adam and Eve were, the first to be evicted out of the Garden of Eden, right? There was, I'll go into this in just a minute. But after they were evicted out of the garden, then little ways down the road, we enter Moses in the book of Exodus. And Moses has a meeting with God. And he says, "What is your name?" And God says, "I am that I am." And that I am is what? Love. Love. God is, I am love. Now, I'm going to go really quickly to the Garden of Eden story because I love to metaphysically interpret the stories in the Bible, meaning, what does these stories really have to do with me? And so, if you look at the garden, what does the garden represent? Oneness consciousness. If you think about it, there was nothing to fret, right? Everything was lovely. So then, until that slippery snake got a hold of Eve, right? What does possibly the slippery snake represent? Ego. And ego talks to Eve, and Eve bites the apple, and then who does she get to eat the apple to? Adam, her husband, right? We don't even know if there were a husband, right? Back then, but it was her partner, right? And he bit the apple and bam, out of the garden they go, right? Out of the garden is separation consciousness. So if you just take these little nuggets with you about that story and how that represents us, oneness consciousness is absolute love. I love the reading that you chose. Both of them are so fitting, and we did not speak to each other about this. Corinthians is all about absolute love. You know, we are and can be in oneness consciousness in the garden. But I don't know about you, but I know for me, I leave the garden many, many times throughout the course of a day. Don't we all, right? Yeah, all I have to do is look at my news app on my phone and I'm out of the garden, right? So we slip in and out of oneness consciousness to separation consciousness. And as Crosby, Stills, and Nash says in their song, we've got to get back to the garden, right? We've got to get ourselves back to the garden. Don't we? Every moment of every day, we get to choose to move back to the garden. We've got to get ourselves back to oneness consciousness more often. We've got to get back to the I am. We've got to get back to love, the absolute love. And I'm not just talking about the love for others. Today I am focusing on the love for and of ourselves. Not as easy to do, is it? You know, I have had a personal experience several years ago with someone I was very, very close to who was diagnosed with ALS. And I was with him through his decline as his body withered and it eventually succumbed to the disease. It was very hard to watch someone that I cared about who believed in healing transition in this way. And I don't know if you've known anybody with that diagnosis or disease, but it is very difficult for them and to watch them go through this. But there's a story I want to share with you today, and it is a story that I hope it touched my heart deeply, and I hope that it's a reminder for you about loving ourselves. This is a story about Evie McDonald. In September of 1980, at age 29, she had a master's in nursing. She was diagnosed with ALS. Her neurologist gave her 1 year to live, She was told that there was no hope for those who were diagnosed with this disease. Her first reaction was denial, of course, but in the months that she was confined, well, literally within months of the diagnosis, she was confined to a wheelchair, and she could no longer deny it. Then she became confused and angry and resentful. And Evie sat there looking at what she called, quote, a bowl full of jelly in a wheelchair. She had always been overweight. She hated her body since she was a child, and now this twist of fate. Evie became isolated, and one day she realized that she did not love herself, inside or outside, and she decided to look into the mirror naked every day and write all the things down that she did not like about herself and her body. Then she eventually tried to write something that she did like about herself and her body. And finally, she came up with one thing. She liked her hair. That was something she was very proud of, was her hair. Then, a few days later, she decided she liked her hands. This was the first of 3 things that Evie decided to do. It took months, every day, setting a timer for 20 minutes, wheeling her naked body into the mirror and looking at herself. And she set that timer for 20 minutes, and she had to find at least one thing that she liked about her life or her body. The second thing that Evie did was to accept all the things on the negative list that she had, accept them as her own, not somebody else's, as her own. She would tell God every day, I accept these feelings as my own. I don't know what to do with them. Here, God, take them. The third thing she decided to do eventually was to forgive anyone and everyone that she needed to forgive, and do it daily. At some point, Evie crossed a threshold, and she knew it because that day she wheeled herself in front of the mirror, and all she could feel was love and compassion for herself and for all of creation. At some point, strength started to come back in her arms and her hands, her limbs. She could walk and feed herself. Evie became the first person to ever recover from ALS. You know this. You aren't here at the Temple of the Living God if you don't believe in healing. I know that. And I was so happy to see so many people come up with these healers. It was beautiful. Practicing absolute love. Can we have that first slide, please, Steve? Practicing absolute love means whatever comes, don't reject it. Whatever goes, don't hold on to it. Just be in the present moment. Just be in the present moment. You know, LeRoy, on February 4th, you read a poem by Robert Browning. And it was to his wife. And as you read this poem, How Do I Love Thee? Let Me Count the Ways. I began saying that to myself. How do I love you, Kathy? Let me count the ways. Because what Evie did struck me so much that if I could just say that to myself once a day, Kathy, how do I love thee? Let me count the ways. In A Course in Miracles, it says, perfect love casts out fear. If fear exists, then there is no perfect love. A yogi master says, I love this one. Fear is happening because of excessive imagination. Fear is happening to me because I've engaged excessive imagination. He goes on to say that fear means we are producing horror movies in our minds that nobody wants to watch. Isn't that the truth? Oh my goodness, right? Is fear oneness consciousness or separation consciousness? Good. This is a good group. If fear is oneness consciousness, then that means I'm in the garden. If fear is separation, I should say, not fear is oneness. If love is oneness consciousness, then I'm in the garden. If fear is separation consciousness, then I'm out of the garden, right? If love is oneness consciousness, then I have peace. If fear is separation consciousness, then I have pain. Isn't that true for most of us, right? Fear never results in me being more peaceful. There's an affirmation I wrote, and I think we have it up on the screen there. I'd like us to read that together. Today, I dismiss thoughts of judgment and separation. In truth, there is nothing but love. I don't hear much oomph behind that one. Let's try it again. Right? Today, I dismiss thoughts of judgment and separation. In truth, there is nothing but love. In truth, with a capital T, right? Paul Cardello, was that last week he was here? Yes. He said last Sunday, only the love of God is real. Do you believe that? You do. Really? Because sometimes my way I'm going about life doesn't really show that I believe that. Because I've kicked myself out of the garden momentarily, right? Okay, Course in Miracles goes on to say, that which changes is not real. That which is real never changes. And what is the only thing that's real, that never changes? Absolute love. Oh, boy. God, let's go to that next one. I want to tell you because I so believe this. God has chosen you to make you a blessing to many. Don't blame your situation. Don't be discouraged. Don't panic. Just wait. Hold on to God. Everything has a reason and a season. This is what Evie did, right? Hold on to God. Here, God, take it. I own it. I don't know what to do with it. Take it, right? We've got to wake up and stay awake more often. Don't succumb to the dream, the nightmare of fear. People all over the world, join hands. Start a love train, love train. This is what we've got to wake up to. This is our job. People all over the world. And it starts with who? Point to yourself. It starts not with you, all of you. No, it starts with me. It is so important for us to stay awake more than go to sleep. Because when we go to sleep, we're in separation consciousness. We've left the garden, and in comes pain. When we are awake, we're in the garden because we see oneness in everyone. And boy, have your speakers here and these readings not talked today about oneness. Let's go to that next one, please. The happiest people I know are evaluating and improving themselves. The unhappy people are usually evaluating and judging themselves. You are part of the happy people. Do you ever notice when you come in that if you came in like this, you aren't even past the bookstore and you already start standing up straighter? Because you're met with happy people, aren't you? Because this group is awake most of the time, right? It's okay, we're human. And acknowledge, like Evie did, acknowledge our foibles. Acknowledge that when we have pain, we have pain. Acknowledge it, but don't wallow in it. You acknowledge it, and then you admit you're powerless over it, or you have power over it, and you can do something to change it. And then let it go. Let it go. You know, it is so important to support this ministry here in all ways, in your time, in your talents, and your treasures. And why do I say that? Because people all over the world got to join hands. We've got to form a love train. And there's these teachings and our New Thought ministries are so important. Why we are not overflowing, I don't know. We are the best kept secret out there. Because this is a group. You are part of a group that are game changers in this world. And it is so important to keep supporting this ministry and its teachings. I want this for my kids, my grandkids, and eventually my great-grandchildren. I want this to be around. So if the happiest people I know, how does it say this again? Tell me. The happiest people I know are evaluating and improving themselves. Is that you? Yeah. Is that why you take classes here? Yeah. Is that why you come on Sunday? Yeah. Because you want to improve your spiritual self. The unhappy people are usually evaluating and judging others. Oh, yeah. So, when you're part of the happy people, do you feel like this next slide? Oh, LeRoy, you don't get to see this, do you? It is a little, here it is. I took a picture of it. Look at that little boy and girl.
Love it, love it, love it.
Right. We've got to get ourselves back to the garden. We've got to get ourselves back to the garden and get there more and more and more every day. I love you, and that the Christ presence in me, as I say namaste to each and every one of you. Namaste, which means to me, the Christ in me, that love, absolute love in me, truly sees and honors that absolute love in each and every single one of you. Namaste. Thank you. Thank you. Let me get this out of your way. Thank you. Thank you.
Warmest and loving thanks, beloved lady, for a powerful message. Thank you. Thank you. And now, as we come to the closing of our service this morning, we are grateful for all of your presence. I invite the ushers to come forward to receive the love offering today. And I look forward to the love offering being overflowing so that there is a stack of bills. Yes? That's an awfully weak yes.
Yeah.
All right. Because what you and I are giving is of our treasure. However you give treasure, let that be your blessing in this moment. Infinite source of all life, Bless these men, these women, these children, this ministry in the world of flesh and form. Amen. All right, let us receive the offering and let us hear the gorgeous music. Is it going to be gorgeous, Carol? Yes, Daniel?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Richard? Yes, ma'am. How about you?
You got it. You know it.
All right, how about let's have some spirit.
Okay.
Let's stand up.
You guys know your parts. Sing along with us.
And the lyrics.
Everybody
are in
up.
order of
Everybody
service,
up.
Yes.
if you don't know them.
Clap your hands. Get that blood flowing.
Think of your fellow man, lend him a helping hand. Put a little love in your heart. You see it's getting late. Please don't hesitate. Put a little love in your heart. And the world will be a better place. And the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see.
Another day goes by and still the children cry.
Put a little love in your heart.
If you want the world to know, we won't let hatred grow.
Put a little love in your heart.
And the world will be a better place. And the world will be a better place for you and me. You just wait and see. Wait and see.
Take a good look around, and when you're looking down,
Put a little love in your heart.
I hope that you decide kindness will be your guide.
Put a little love in your heart.
And the world will be a better place. And the world will be a better place for you and me. Just wait and see. Everybody put a little love in your heart.
Each and every day.
Put a little love in your heart.
There's no other way. Put a little love in your heart. Put a little love in your heart. Happy Sunday, everyone. Come out, see us in the lobby. Don't forget, there's new things in the bookstore. Have a snack, meet a friend. See you next Sunday.